I'd love to hear from you about what types of things you're seeing. And I can share some of ours too. What are you seeing in the branded residences? Because here, I mentioned, of course, we have the Four Seasons and we have the Ritz Carlton that's under construction currently. We've also got some branded residences in the suburbs. Troubadour is one that comes to mind, very upscale. It's in Williamson County, and that's a Discovery Land product. And they've got communities all over the country. And so once again, it's that people who live in those communities. They know what to expect before they come to the gate. They know and they understand the basic concept and the level of luxury that they would expect in purchasing there. But what types of things are you seeing in the branded residences in your market in St. Pete?
So I'm glad that you asked about the amenity levels, Jack, because while we don't necessarily have a lot in my market, I have in my travels representing the Institute encountered a lot of different luxury branded residences around the country. And so the kind of amenities that they're offering. Obviously, you've got the type of concierge service that we just talked about stocking your refrigerator and that sort of thing. But you also have access to 24-hour concierge service, valet service, certainly, full housekeeping services, which typically wouldn't come with a condominium residence. And then also you have access to the facilities of the resort, which would include like 24-hour room service, if you will, right?
Right.
In apartment dining, grocery service, dog walking, spa services. Certainly, a lot of these residences will, be affiliated. And if the hotel has a spa, of course, you get access to that. Rather than maybe having their own, right? Like we're used to a luxury condo building that has a fitness center and
Right.
a catering kitchen and all that. But if you've got access to the fully staffed, fully used services of the resort in particular, and I imagine that those other types of branded residences that we mentioned that aren't resort affiliated probably offer some of those services, maybe contracted versus full-time staff, but that's probably a kind of a variable. So what kind of other services do you think you might find in these places? Maybe we're brainstorming to give some ideas to the next generation of developers.
Well, I know what we see here. One of the things that's kind of fun. I know that with Four Seasons in Nashville, it's located adjacent to a dog park downtown, and there's a doggy spa within the Four Seasons, so you can bring your dog in by appointment to have your dog, bathed and groomed and all that sort of thing.
At the Four
And then there's a doggy
Seasons.
park, right? Yeah, at the Four
Wow.
Seasons, right? So you have a doggy spa in addition to the wellness spa for both guests and for residences. And that's the interesting thing too, is that so I know this is, as I've spoken with colleagues in different markets, the some of the branded residences have independent amenities when there's a hotel and private residences in the same building, and that's something some of our listeners may not realize. So some of the Four Seasons, for example, are strictly hotels, depending on what market you go to, while others, like the model we have here in Nashville, is both hotel and private residences. They have completely separate lobbies. So
Hmm.
if you're a guest at the Four Seasons, you have access to all the Four Seasons amenities, but you can't access the
The
private
residences.
residences. However, if you are an owner within private residences, you have access to all the amenities for private residences. And in addition, you can walk seamlessly through one lobby into the next and have access to everything that guests of the Four Seasons have access to as well. And so there is some redundancy. So, for example, at Four Seasons Hotel, there's a beautiful, workout fitness facility overlooking the river and downtown. It's wonderful as you would expect. But there's also a private fitness facility just for private residences. It's not as large, also super nice with a spectacular view where you can work out, treadmill, whatever, and look downtown, look across the rooftops of all the honky tonks and all the partying down below while you're working out. It's very entertaining. So some of those have duplicate amenities, and some of them are shared. So again, there's a sky deck for the hotel. There's a sky deck just for private residences. So if you and your guests want to go down and have grill out, have a cookout on the rooftop, you're not competing with folks in the Four Seasons hotel.
Got it.
So
And
there's
that
a lot of There's a
that
lot of
makes
different amenities like that.
yeah, and it makes perfect sense, the fitness center that I hadn't thought about that before, right? So you would want to share the spa with anybody else that was enjoying the spa,
Hmm. Yeah.
but you would want your own fitness center as opposed to sharing that with hotel guests. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is I remember when we've sold, I think probably a half a dozen or so units at Four Seasons, and it's only about a year and a half or so old. But one of the things I know that their on-site sales really pitch is not just the brick and mortar, not just the building, not just the amenities, the list of amenities, but the level of service. That's what I think people are looking for with these
Mhm.
branded residences. It's not just that they have a concierge, but it's the ultimate concierge.